Hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy. My name is Marvin and my call sign is W0MET. I'm here to connect you with all the latest tips, tricks, news, and stories to take your ham radio experience to the next level. Whether you're a seasoned operator, a weekend poker warrior, or just getting started, this is the place to be. So grab your coffee, tune up your rig, and let's get on the air because the world of amateur radio is awaiting. Well, we have a very exciting and special show for you this week. We have a special guest that I'll be doing an interview with, Kody beer, just like the drink, K3KLB. And we'll be talking a little bit about Winter Field Day and his story around it. It's a very exciting story. I think it's a lot to learn from him. And he did a phenomenal job, and you'll find out how well he actually did during the interview. So I'll keep all those exciting things for that recording when we get into that. But I want to think this is going to be a very cool episode. I got a lot of cool things to talk about. First will be, I got my parts finally for building the Meshtastic node. I got the solar panel connector to be able to mount to the box. That came just today as I'm recording this. And so, pretty excited about that. But unfortunately, I'm traveling into the week here I'll be gone for the next 2 weeks. And so it'll be very difficult for me to be able to try and get that done this week. And I just don't have time to get it built before then. So, and I'm still missing a few of the nuts and bolts. So I will work on that when I get back. But that's going to be another video coming out about Meshtastic node with solar panel control and exactly how you can take care of that and then have that set up at your place or wherever you want to do it. And, I haven't figured up all the costs, but probably less than $100 into it overall. Maybe closer to 120, 130, but it's not much. Not terrible overall. And you could build something or you can buy stuff similar, but this is a much bigger node that will have a bigger, higher decibel antenna and will have the ability to be able to be, completely solar panel controlled, or solar panel powered. And, I won't have to worry about going out and checking it, recharging a battery, anything like that, as long as I can connect to it from my node inside the house and I know it's up and running, and hopefully see other people running through the node as well that has a pretty big Meshtastic group here in the Pioneer Valley of Massachusetts and Western Massachusetts. So looking forward to getting mine on the air and being a part of that group. Well, like I said, I'll be traveling to Wisconsin, hopefully working up my, being able to set up my remote HF site. And we'll see if all that goes well or not. I'm waiting on some tower parts to arrive, and they were supposed to ship already, but we'll see. We still have time. They said they were about a week delayed, so that would be pushing into this week here, the first week of, when are we in the second week of April, the first full week, I guess, really. So we'll see where those come in time or not, but I'm hoping. So that's going to be a little questionable, but if I can get there and have the parts available to start work on the tower right away, I've got 2 weeks. I'm going to be at the site. So can I get it all done during that time? We'll find out. Well, the Ham Radio Guy is a listener-supported podcast that's powered by the amazing ham radio community. And if you enjoy these conversations and want to help keep the show going, consider supporting us, whether it's through a donation, sharing the show, or just grabbing some merchandise. Every bit helps bring more content, more great content your way. And, of course, it is sponsored by Dakota Lithium and, powering your adventures with batteries built to last. I've been using these batteries now for a couple of years myself. And let me tell you, the performance is unmatched. No more worrying about dead batteries in the middle of an activation. Pure, dependable power wherever you need it. And, whether you're heading out for a POD activation, gearing up for field day, or just need reliable power for your ham shack, Dakota Lithium has you covered with twice the power, half the weight, and an amazing 11-year warranty. I've got guys I know that are using these batteries 7-8 years, and they're still staying on the air. They're still using them. So go check out Dakota Lithium today and get ready to experience what you need, an ultimate portable energy solution, Dakota Lithium. And you can tell them the Ham Radio Guy sent you. Check out the notes by save 5% in the show notes. I'll save you a lot of money there. And that's, really a feature for you guys. And I want you to be able to use that. And I'm glad you do. So if you're loving the Ham Radio Guy podcast, you want to connect with fellow hams, and get some awesome perks, join over at patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy and be a part of the Ham Radio Guy community. I appreciate you guys supporting. And we just had a new free member show up on the Patreon page, Joff. So thank you for joining. on the free side. I hope you'll consider being a tech or a general extra level class member, and you'll find value in this podcast and the information that I'm sharing on this side. So I'm going to skip news this week. I've got a longer interview with Kody, and we don't really have a lot of good news out there. There was nothing earth shattering or breaking this week that I just felt like I needed to really share with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and skip that this week, and we'll go from there. I'm going to, we'll leave the Ham Radio Guy joke out of the week. I didn't get anything prepared or set up ahead of time for that one. I usually try and get that in here as well ahead of time, but I just didn't get to it. So today's episode is going to be brought to you by Big Papa Smokers, the show where we chase contacts, eat good, and live loud. So this is where pit masters and weekend warriors alike get the tools they need to make the award-winning barbecue. Hit up my affiliate link in the show notes to find more support about the podcast and level up your grill game, your one-stop shop for championship level barbecue, gear, and seasonings. Find out more in the show notes and grab your own seasonings and smokers as the summer's coming around. And you can support the podcast the same way by going through the affiliate link and saving some money there as well. I'm hoping to have some future videos on some of these episodes talking about smoke signals, QSO and queso, field day feast. That one I may not be able to get into this year just because I'm not going to be near my smoker for field day, but I might find another way to go about doing it yet. So we'll see how that one comes about and what I decide to do for field day. I'm still up in the air with that myself. I'll probably be in Wisconsin during that time, and I don't want to be traveling that weekend for field day because it's my second favorite, holiday of the year, but as favorite day of the year for sure. Besides winter field day, of course, that's got to be first, being that I am president. So anyway, that's to be determined how that's going to come out and what we're going to do with that. So you can find out more in the show notes about the Big Papa Smokers. Well, we're going to get right into the main topic. And this is a show I recorded about a week or two ago. It was previously recorded with Kody Beer, who was a Winter Field Day participant and did a phenomenal job in the outdoor category. And so hoping that you'll enjoy this episode time with him and learn a little bit about his setup, how he was able to perform so well as a single occupant in the outdoor category and what he did. And then we'll come back out and finish up the show a little bit with a little bit more information at the end. So go ahead and listen to this previous recorded audio with Kody Beer, K3KLB. Good evening, Kody. How are you doing?
Not too bad, Marvin. Thanks for having me on.
Good, absolutely. Well, being the president of Winter Field Day, I happened to go through a lot of logs and a lot of other information, and I came across yours and thought it was quite impressive. And I know we'd had some chat there. I think maybe you even wrote in and asked a question or something about in regards to Winter Field Day or log submission. And so I saw that. I was like, wow, that's pretty damn impressive. And then happened to also share some with my brother about that. And he goes, oh yeah, I know him. He's done some of our photos for some of our like certificates and things like that in the past. So I think we've used one of your photos at some point. So thank you for allowing us as Winter Field Day to be able to do that as well. So, it's really cool. And I guess I'll kind of get into that first. We'll talk a little bit about that. Well, let me go here first. How many years have you been doing amateur radio?
So I've been a ham since late 2019. I actually picked it up somewhere in December of 2019. I got my technician license, and I never really was active with it until somewhere in 2021 because I work as an RN, and right in 2020 we know everything that happened around that time frame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life got pretty busy then. I was working and just kind of forgot about ham radio for about a year or so. And wasn't until I picked up like a Baofeng in 2021 when I finally started making contacts in the local repeater and meeting some guys locally and kind of stirred my interest with as far as getting into HF. I watched a lot of guys on YouTube, people like VE3 Tango Whiskey Mike Tracy up in Canada. and lots of guys like that out there in the field operating, and just kind of triggered me to get really interested in HF. And there was a local operator who did lots of parks in the air, KC3GUU Jim, locally here. He showed me parks in the air, and once I did an activation with him, it was kind of like smoking, one time and you're hooked on it.
Absolutely, and that's kind of way I've had a couple people have helped turn on amateur radio, and they went out and did a park activation. Like, wow, that blew them away. So, Parks on the Air certainly has that bug that you can get hooked into HF really quick with, for sure. So,
Yeah.
so you haven't really been an amateur radio operator that long overall. I mean, we're talking, maybe 6 years, but I mean, probably really the last 4 years to be in kind of more into the HF world of things. So, that's pretty impressive. Um, so as we started to talk about, you're a little bit, you've done some photography, and we've used some of your photos for the Winter Field Day certificate. So is photography really kind of the primary interest, or is it more about ham radio, and photography just kind of takes a backseat to it, but you're able to kind of share the love of both?
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, it was the other way around. Photography was always my, primary hobby. And as soon as I kind of got into ham radio, photography kind of sort of took a backseat, but sort of kind of not really, because I still do lots of photography. And now I like to incorporate both hobbies at the same time. I'll get out, I'm going out to activate a park. Usually I'm photographing something or, taking the camera along with me. I always like to combine hobbies together. So it's one of those things, but unfortunately they're two very expensive hobbies, and you kind of have to decide which one to spend on. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed taking photos of my different activations. I see you're pulling up some photos there, and I always like documenting things and just kind of sharing photos of what I'm doing with other folks in the same hobby.
Yeah, neither one of them being really cheap hobbies overall. They can both become expensive. You start adding a bunch of equipment and stuff in there, and buying
Absolutely.
photography stuff. But you've got some just amazing photos that you've taken, and really
Thanks.
not really the point of this evening's discussion, but it's just the fact that you've done it while uh, documented your ham radio, like you mentioned, and you've taken some amazing photos that are really incredible, that are very impressive, and
Thank you.
they're just beautiful photos. They're incredible, and they're great to just use for whatever, and you do a great job at it. So um,
Thank you.
you got some interesting setups. So just is this just kind of a summer camping outdoor type thing you went and did?
Yeah, that was I think that was Hills Creek State Park. That's in northern Pennsylvania. I think it's Potter County. It's up in the middle of nowhere, really. But yeah, I had set up just for the evening. I drove up there, and I actually set up the buddy hex. You can barely see it in the background, just behind the truck over there.
Oh yeah,
And I put up the end fed half wave on. That's a 12-meter spider beam mast, and I use that as a sloper. That gave me 40 meters. And that was actually the weekend of the Hawaii QSO party two
oh
years ago.
nice,
So I worked a couple stations in Hawaii by using the hex beam.
wow, and that thing is just incredible for sure. So,
Yeah,
but
it's
you can see some of the auroras from. I'm assuming that was from last fall.
yep. Those were two different auroral storms we had. One was in October. They were both in the fall, actually. One was at Pine and Tuning State Park. That's the first one there. That's my most activated park here in PA. And the second one is Little Pine State Park, and that was the real big one. That was actually visible. A lot of it was visible to the naked eye. It was quite the sight.
Wow. Yeah, just and then you got some wildlife photography there as well, but
Yeah,
just some great photos that you've shared, on your QRZ page. So go check out K3KLB. He's got some great, beautiful photography there. But yeah, I just bring that up and share that. I just think that's really cool overall. So um,
yeah. A couple
as
of those photos I lucked out. They ended up in the that Parks on the Air book, and ARRL reached out and put a couple of my photos in there.
well, that's really cool. Then that's kind of nice to have some recognition like that as well.
Yeah, it was neat.
So yeah, that's really neat for sure. So, how many years have you been doing Winter Field Day?
3 years. Yeah, 2020. Is it 21? Must have been 2022.
2022, we've taken over. Yeah, that's when we took over for Winter Field Day. So,
And
um,
three years. Must have been 23, January of 23 that I started it.
Okay.
It was actually the first year I did it was I was on a picnic table. I was outdoors. I had my ICOM IC 7100, I believe, out there, and I was out there for most of the day. And it was cold. I mean, there was
Yeah.
snow on the ground, and I was up on a mountain. Actually, one of those photos is of that too, with the end fed over top of the truck. And it was a good time. But I definitely figured, next time I'm going to have some sort of shelter to be in, because this is just too cold to be out there with a laptop and out there with the snow blowing around. And so
Oh,
definitely,
absolutely. I don't do winter field day outdoors anymore. I'm just didn't getting, I don't say too old for it, but it's just like, it takes a toll on you for being out there for very long.
yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned using a somebody 100 for your winter field day. Is that the same equipment that you're still using today?
Actually, no, I actually sold that there last year, and now I'm using an IC 7300. The past 2 years, I've been using that, and that's actually my shack radio here too. It's sitting here right next to me, and I set that thing up with the Heil Pro set, and it works. It works like gangbusters.
Wow. So you were able to make 1,000 contacts, give or take a few there. I know it was over 1,000, in a little over a 12-hour time period. And so you're using the ICOM 7300. And um, what type of antenna were you using?
Yeah, so I had two antennas set up. Basically, I used almost identical setups this year and last year. Last year, I had the same the tent with the Buddy Hex, and also an end-fed half wave. Actually, no, last year was the DX Commander,
Mm.
and I had them both on an antenna switch. Because the thing with the DX, the D with the Buddy Hex, is that unless you're out there next to the handle to spin it, if you have a station that's coming in weak, and I didn't want to take the time to leave the radio and leave the pile up and spin the Buddy Hex, I actually had a switch where I could flip it over to the DX Commander and use it sort of like an omnidirectional antenna
Sure.
for receive, and it worked really well for getting some extra contacts. But this year I decided, instead of using the DX Commander, I would use an inverted V, and I used it was actually from Reliance Antennas,
Oh, yeah.
10 through 80, 10 through 80 end fed half wave,
Yeah.
and I
Matt
set it
does a
up
great
with
job building those antennas. So,
yeah, it works great. I mean, I could put 100 watts digital through it, no problem. And but as far as for winter field day, I had it set up in a big inverted V with the 40-foot spider beam,
oh, yeah.
and it was over in the snow over there, and right next to the tent this time, I actually put the Buddy Hex right up against it, so I could actually reach right out the window and grab the rotator and turn it, and it worked really well. For
Yeah, I
I had it
bet.
set up. I call it contest mode when I just set up with the elements for 6, 10, 15, and 20, and I omit the work band elements for the contest, of course. But it worked really well. I mean, I could hold a frequency for hours at a time and have a pretty good presence. With the contest, it can be pretty congested, so it definitely helps.
Yeah. Winterfield Day was very active. We had over 354,000 QSOs that we have physically recorded this year with logs that were submitted. So it
Mm.
was very busy for Winter Field Day this year. Absolutely. A lot of good contacts out there were being made for sure. Do you think that, a lot of people would just use a dipole or something for Winter Field Day a lot of the times and just throw it up in a tree like they would kind of a park activation? Do you think having that hex beam really makes that much of a difference compared to if you just had a dipole tied to a mast out there somehow at a slant or something like that?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, if you want to search and pounce, I mean, any antenna would work just fine. But if you want to hold a frequency for an extended period of time, it really helps to have that extra gain and directionality, I think, at least, to basically hold a bigger presence in the band.
Yeah.
And you can really hold a frequency and kind of combat all the extra QRM that you're getting from folks, because you'll pretty much inevitably have somebody will set up 1 or 1.5 kilohertz away from you and start calling CQ, and it's really nice to have that Buddy Hex to just kind of fight back.
Absolutely, and of course, with Winter Field Day, it's all limited to 100 watts. Fairly, we can't truly police that, but hopefully,
Right.
that's what people are doing and having integrity around that. But yeah, if you can take the advantage when you can, how you can, it certainly can help you by all means. So I mentioned you'd gone for 12 hours. Um, we started that early this year a little bit. So did you start it right at the start time on Saturday? Did you go for 12 hours or did you break that up somehow? How would someone, endure that long of time during an event like this?
Yeah, so I'm pretty conditioned from doing lots and lots of parks on the year for having extended operations. I've operated POTA for parks on the year by itself. I've operated for 5, 6, 7 hours and spent the day doing it. But for this, I set everything up in the morning, and I was on there as soon as it started until the first day. I think I was on there until about 10 o'clock or so. So quite a long day. And I actually took lunch down there with me, and I even cooked lunch on my buddy heater.
Oh,
I cooked a sandwich on the buddy heater, so I I didn't leave the radio much at all. There were no breaks, pretty much.
that's what I was just going to ask. Like, all right, other than maybe having to step out and go pee or something. No, but yeah, I mean that becomes a long day down there, and it's like it's like well, you got to have some food or something along the way, and have some drink, whatever. Of course, that causes other things to happen. But did you go back and operate on Sunday a little bit too, or?
Yeah, yeah. So from was it noon or from start until 10 p.m. I operated on day one, and then the next day I was out there a little bit later in the morning, like 10 a.m. or so,
Oh, sure.
until a little bit after lunch, and just kind of casually collected some more contacts. I was kind of already beat from yesterday, and
That's a long
I
day
just
for sure.
I didn't run the whole way till the end because I was just like, you know what, it's going to take me a couple hours to get everything packed up. So I just called it. I was like, I hit 1,000. I was pretty happy with that. So
And you ran this completely as a single operator event, so
yep, one radio, one operator, whole time.
yeah, that's pretty incredible overall. So, um, how did you like the structure of Winterfield Day for having did you try and take advantage of some of the other, I'm guessing, satellite contacts are probably out, but, obviously you set up two antennas and those sort of things. So you took advantage of some of those bonus points, worked for more than 6 hours. Um, did you like the structure of that and bonus? And have you looked at your score yet available actually?
Yeah, I did look at the score. I forget what it was now, but I did see it was uploaded on there, and a lot of the other folks' scores are on there now too.
Yeah, we've got those uploaded a little early. I guess this is a spoiler alert that Winter Field Day scores have been released. So if you're watching, here you go. We have not really, I guess, publicly, physically announced that yet. We were kind of just making sure everything was looking good, and if people happen to go on there and capture it, and wrote back and say, "Hey, I've got issues," like we're just trying if we were working on any bugs, but I think we've got everything pretty much there. But if I remember correctly, and if I know if I can pull it up quickly and look at that, I pretty sure that you were up there, pretty top score for the most part. If I go look at results, let's see here.
Yeah, basically the big goal was just to beat my score from last year, and last year I had about 600 or
And
so.
you're obviously outdoors, so
Yep.
search. If we just look at, let's go look at final scores. So, let's go the other way. There we
You're in the
go.
indoor there.
And I don't see in
You're
that.
still in the indoor category there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have clicked the wrong one there accidentally. Oh, there we go. So yeah, you came out. If we did top 10, top 10 score, you definitely made in. Looks like number 8 here. So
Yeah.
did really well for a single operator score overall. So that's very impressive to be able to do that as a single operator. And you can see that a lot of these other classes were 2, 3, and 4 people, and
Yeah.
here you come in number 8 just by yourself alone. So very impressive with that operation, and that's very cool that you're able to do that. And
It was a lot of work.
yeah, I'm sure it was a lot of work. So what other than you've done a lot of activations with POTA, and you've maybe conditioned yourself over the last couple of years to figure out, hey, what, this was working, this wasn't working, and I'm able to make things better. What type of things and struggles did you probably have or struggle with the first year or two that you say, you know what, yeah, I definitely do this. I'll do this a little different. And I'm going to improve this for next year. What are some of those things that you might have looked at that if somebody's watching this, that they can take away from that and maybe improve their amateur radio operations, on a Pody event or maybe even coming up for summer field day. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't really looked back on it a whole lot yet, but I know heat is one thing I was going to think about for next year. I've been using the buddy heater for 2 years. It works pretty well, but it does create a lot of moisture.
yep.
And with the cold temperatures, you do start to get ice building up on the inside of the tent. And it's not a real big issue. I can open up the windows and kind of dry things up a little bit, but it's still, the tent does get pretty soaked after a while. So that tent was in the garage for a couple days drying out. And I
Yeah.
do kind of wonder about the radios, if the moisture is going to hurt those at all. So I'm kind of a little paranoid, about those. So
I had a cargo trailer for Winterfield Day this year myself with a propane heater inside there, and I had moisture building up inside that, and that thing was fully insulated with 2-inch foam on the roof and an inch foam in the walls, and it
yeah,
still built up moisture coming through from the propane. So I certainly understand that if you're in a little small tent like that, and this was a big 16-foot long trailer, so um, definitely looking at some other options myself for something like that, which is a good consideration to look at. And yeah, when you start looking at moisture in radios and things like that, that I can see that can be a fact. Anything else that maybe you talked a little bit about radios, you changed that and changed out some antennas that you were looking at versus DX Commander versus the Hex Beam or another antenna, but um, just maybe the type of computer program you're using or the computer you're using or using a tablet. What some people really want to pack for more IMCOM emergency use. They want to be light. They want to go as little as possible. I mean, do you carry out literally a wagon full of stuff, or did you have a backpack and a tent, and we were able to that's all you needed. So
yeah, I had quite a bit of stuff. I actually used the ice sled. I have an ice sled, like an Eskimo ice sled for ice
yep,
fishing, and pairs well with the ice tent. But yeah, I hauled that
absolutely.
down there. I have a like a lifetime folding camping table I had in there, a big camping chair. Definitely not like your super portable setup at all, but I wanted it to be comfortable. I wanted to sit in a good position, especially for that many hours.
Yeah.
Even even being comfortable, my neck was still getting sore, sitting there. But I just have a couple $100 laptop. It's an Asus, and
Oh,
it works pretty well. It's a touch screen. It actually charges on 12 volts, so I can plug it into my I have like a Bioenno power box I made, and I can plug it into there. It's got USB C power delivery,
okay.
and it charges the laptop just fine. So there's no worries about having any sort of inverters or anything like that
So
causing
obviously
extra
you weren't
trips.
nowhere near where you didn't have a generator or anything with you, or did
Right.
you?
No generators. I was probably within about 1,000 feet or so of the house, but
Okay.
all within the state park property. It's all public property and it's all open for public use. I live right here along the Pymatuning Lake, which
Nice.
is Pymatuning State Park, and I have lots of neighbors where all the houses are just kind of just kind of stacked side by side
Oh
right
yeah.
next to each other. But we have a
So
gigantic yard that's all considered the state park. It goes the whole
nice.
way up and down both sides
Just
of the
go out your
lake.
backyard and operate.
Yeah, essentially, it's not that close, but I mean, essentially, if I walk off my front porch, I have a picnic table out front, and if I step off that picnic table about 10 feet or so, that's actually considered the state park property right there.
Wow.
So
So how big a battery you were operating for 12 hours? So you're using 100 watts, using consistent. You got laptop, you've got the radio itself, maybe a light of some sort in there. You're trying to charge or keep lit somehow. You're using off USB, whatever. So how big a battery do you have to be able to handle this? 100 watt, 100 amp hour battery or what?
so I have two 40 amp hour LifePo
Okay.
batteries, and I have one 30. The 30 was used for charging devices, my laptop, my cell phone, and charging lights and stuff like that. I have some camping lights I was using,
Yep.
and the 240s are what I used for the operation. I killed the 140; it was totally dead, and the other one, it was probably getting there. I mean, it was close. So
Okay. So it definitely took a little over 100, 110 amp hours to be able to, run that type of situation for 12 hours. So
yeah, to
did
be
you go
comfortable.
through and do any particular calculations of like, okay, you know what, I'm running 100 hour or 100 watts. I've got, 100 amp hours or 80 amp hours of battery. You just going to run with it until you ran out.
Yep, that was about it. Yeah, I just took what
Okay.
I had.
I didn't
Those
know
are
if you'd made any, calculations to kind of determine, hey, you know what, I know what this is going to use. These lights are using, 3 amp hours an hour, whatever. I can run this much or this long with it. So,
yeah. I'm pretty much used to how long those 40s last, and I knew that last year I had the same setup, and I went through the 40 and also the 30 last year. But this year I just figured, yeah, what, yeah, 120, 110 amp hours that would
110
last
hours.
me
Yeah.
plenty long. So it worked. Never had to recharge anything, so I didn't have to worry about having solar or anything.
And that was
So
my next question. Did you use any solar at all during the time to try and keep everything charged? Okay.
no,
Cool. Well, very good. So, that's your typical, winter field day operation. Sounds like you've done really well with that. You've kind of really focused and narrowed, funneled down what works best for you to be able to do that. You mentioned a little bit about doing some PODA activations. You've done several of them there in Pennsylvania with your backyard, basically with the park nearby. Uh, do you do any other type of contesting or any other, like, do you do summer field day as well, and similar type of setup or running?
I think I've only actually done the summer field day one time. I'm pretty sure I've only done it once, and only because my current job I work every weekend, so
Oh.
it's hard to get weekends off. So actually, I requested specifically off for winter field day, and well worth it. But it's hard to get weekends off in the summer because I've already requested weekends off for camping and whatnot,
Oh, sure.
and doing different things like that. So I haven't participated in that yet, but I do every year the Pennsylvania QSO party.
Oh,
Past few years I've done that. This past October I participated there, and I roved about, I forget how many counties, but I just operated from my mobile and drove across Pennsylvania and back. It was a good time.
very cool. Yeah.
Um,
How did you just go to a county, park there for half hour, and then just make a bunch of contacts, and then just get off and drive to the next county, and not make any contacts in between when you're doing
yeah,
the QSO party?
so I had quite a long plan. I was going to go to certain counties out in central Pennsylvania, and plans kind of changed, but at the last minute. But I still wound up. I think I did at least 5 or 6 counties. The first county I was camping there,
Oh,
and the second county was one that I used to live in. So I had friends living out there that I spent some time with while I was out there, and I was actually going to spend the night in that town, and the next morning do several more counties. But I had an issue with the hotel room out there, and it kind of soured the mood for the rest of the weekend. So that next morning, I just kind of drove home, and on my way home on Interstate 80, I just stopped at random counties on the way through and just made contacts there.
fair enough. Oh, absolutely. So, um, so again, you've kind of been into amateur radio for a little over 4 years in the HF world, but maybe about 6 years total. For someone new that's coming into the hobby or wants to be able to pick up and do a pod activation, wants to get into, they want to try and run winter field day next year or something like that. Um, any suggestions or thoughts, things that you've learned along the way that would be helpful to them, or maybe what logging program do you use? um, you know, um, any methodology around the contesting. I know you talked a little bit about search and balance versus just sitting on a channel and running that channel or that frequency, for a long time, which is always the best way to do it if you can. But sometimes it's either finding a certain location, or if you're looking for something particularly, you're trying to go through, and it's like I that's where I've run into the problems where I'm looking for a certain frequency, but as I'm doing it, I'm starting to search in pounds, and I'm hitting everything along the way, and I kind of forget that I'm even supposed to be looking for a channel. So, but what would you recommend to somebody new coming into this, and what how would they get started with some of that? So,
Yeah, I mean, just find what you like and everything. My original interest kind of came from seeing these guys on YouTube doing these things, field operation and whatnot. Like I said, Tracy and Julian,
yep,
OH8. WSTN, I think it is. He was one of the channels I picked up whenever I was not even a ham yet. I was watching some of the videos there and kind of, got some wheels turning, starting to get interested in camping and ham radio and kind of combining all these things at the same time. But yeah, just kind of find what you're interested in and watch YouTube to kind of learn, because that's how I learned how to do a lot of stuff. Like I said, there was an operator here close to home who introduced me to POTA, and it kind of spiraled from there. But starting out when you're brand new, it's kind of intimidating, like the pileups and whatnot, and
It
all
can
these
be.
people coming after you at the same time. It's like holy cow. But just start and just start calling CQ and just take it as it comes. And if you're worried about having too many stations coming after you all at once, just turn the power down. Just run QRP, because with the conditions the way they are now, doesn't matter what kind of antenna you have up, doesn't matter how much power you're running, you're going to make contacts. So,
Right.
and but yeah, just some folks will recommend against QRP as a newbie just because it can be frustrating. And I
It can
wouldn't
be
recommend.
frustrating for someone with experiences like myself,
Yeah,
so
it sure can, but it's rewarding though too. But maybe I wouldn't recommend doing it on a weekend with a contest going, or
no.
in the busy time of the day. But just go out there, run low power, and you'll get the hunters I say that have really big ears. They can hear a mouse fart across the country. They've got really great antennas and really low noise, and they can pick you out. And but yeah, if you really need to, just start low power and work them as they come. And as you're getting more comfortable, turn the power up and just let the pile up roar.
Absolutely. Or I mean, and if you're looking, you want to participate next year in Winter Field Day, and we'd love to have you if you're watching and want to say, hey, I'd love to be able to go out and try to do Winter Field Day. That sounds like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Try and get out and do a POTA activation. I think that's probably where you kind of started at doing POTA, and POTA can be really slow at times, or you can have make 100 contacts in 60 minutes sometimes too. You can have a great big pile up that way as well. But
yeah,
you can kind of run that at your own pace, and people go, hey, this is my first time doing a POTA activation. You let them know that. They're usually very patient with you and will let you, kind of go at your pace, what you need to do to be able to do that. You talked about your logging a little bit on the ACES computer. What particular program did you like the best, and what works easiest for you? And did you run something different for Winter Field Day versus what you might do when you're doing a POTA activation?
yeah. So for contesting, I'm really a big fan of N3FJP. I think it works pretty seamlessly and it's easy to set up. And I really love how he has the map. It fills in all the blanks. I like seeing the all the squares fill up. And
It's one of my
makes
favorite
it
as well.
makes it a big game. You're just trying to fill in all those squares. But whenever I'm just doing POTA, I've never even used N3FJP for an activation, to be honest. I just use Polo. That's the big up and coming portable activation app. And I still have hammers on my phone. It's hard for me to get rid of hammers. It's still there, and I actually use it pretty often too. But usually anymore, I'm more leaning towards the Ham 2K Polo.
Yeah, Sebastian does a great job with that application. He's built a really phenomenal application around that for tablets and on iPhone or iPad, either one. And I've kind of moved from hammers over to that one as well, just because of all the integration he has. The only thing I really wish he'd get into is finding a way we could integrate rate control with it for doing it on a tablet or something. Because when I'm doing a POTA activation, 9 times out of 10, I'm just on my tablet myself, and that's something I can start off with. It's easy, it's lightweight, easy to compact, or easy to pack and carry along, and it doesn't take up a lot of room or weight in a backpack as I'm traveling. So when I'm doing a activation this summer in Alaska, um, I'll be running everything on my iPad during that time myself. So
Yeah,
just because I'm trying to go lightweight and I already got enough equipment with me that I'm trying to pack on a plane and a cruise ship and everything else. So
yeah.
absolutely.
It's a really well designed app. I mean, being able to go to the spotting page on there on the app and just press a call sign, automatically fills it in. You don't have to worry about typing hyphens for park numbers. Everything's just really smartly designed.
Even if you're at a park and you don't know exactly what that park numbers are offhand, you can find the one closest to you and go, "Oh yeah, here it is. It's park 6234, whatever." So
Yep.
it's really cool. He has done a great job with it. And I know he has a lot of more features and things that he's building on and continue to work on and improve. So very cool. So you're right, that is a great application. And N3HAP is the Winter Field Day favorite for running our winter field day events as well. And, you can do a Cabrillo or ADI file. We kind of like the Cabrillo files, but we, may look at doing just going strictly ADIF2 and still getting a lot of the information from there. You can still pull a lot of information from that. So, well, thank you, Kody, for joining us this evening. Appreciate your time. Congratulations on being number 8 there. I know number 1, but you're number 1 for being a single operator for the outdoor. You are the number 1 person there for that. So, job well done, and congratulations on that. And I'm glad you did so well, and that you had a successful activation and things went really well for you. Thank you for joining us here on the Ham Radio Guy podcast, and just be able to talk about your experience with that. And everything you did, and hopefully go out and visit K3KLB on QRZ. Check out some of his great photography, and catch him on the air. He sounds like he does POTA activations quite often, so hopefully you'll get a chance to work him on the air, and see him in the future. So anyway, anything else before we go?
No, I appreciate you having me on, and hope to catch you on the air, and we'll see you next Winter Field Day.
Absolutely, we'll see you then.
Looking for top quality cables that you can trust? ABR Industries has you covered. Proudly American built and reliable, ABR Industries delivers premium coax cable and connectors for all your communication needs. Whether you're a ham radio operator, work in broadcast, or manage critical infrastructure, ABR ensures that you are connected when it matters most.
And it has such tremendously different characteristics.
From static to clarity, ABR products. Built tough, built here, built for you. ABR Industries, American built and reliable. Visit abrind.com today and experience the strength of superior connectivity. It's the only coax here in the W0MET Ham Shack. Use code SAVE10 Ham Radio Guy. ABR Industries, where reliability meets performance. And we are back with the Hamfest schedules for the ARRO Hamfest schedule page. Go check them out at the link, and you can find in the show notes. Of course, May 16th through the 18th, Dayton Hamvention, Xenia, Ohio. You will find me there, and I will be at one of the vendors working there. May 30th through the June 1st is CPAC, ARRL Northwestern Division Convention in Seaside, Oregon. And July 13th, Sussex, New Jersey Hamfest is ARRL Hudson Division Convention. So there's a couple of the upcoming Hamfest through July that you can definitely go take a part of. That's it, folks, for the episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Thanks for tuning in and being part of the conversation. And don't forget to share your thoughts, questions, or stories. Email me over, or connect with me on Twitter or Patreon if you've enjoyed the show. It's definitely been a lot of, that's right, crickets lately. I've not heard a lot from anybody, so I'm hoping that you will certainly feel free to comment on things and some of the videos. Helps provide a little bit of feedback and know where I need to go. And if you have an idea for an episode, please email me. Again, W0MET@thehamradioguide.com. Or if you're a patron, you can hit me up in chat there as well. Well, until next time, I want to say thank you very much for joining. And, 73 and happy hamming. Keep those antennas high, the signal strong, and I'll catch you on the next episode of The Ham Radio Guy. 73, take care.